have some real big issues. I've tried to correct the warpage that I was having, and everything I was doing just made it worse and worse and worse and worse. From this point to this point, there is a body line, like a little crease, and it's supposed to be a straight line, and look at that. That is mental. That's at least 5 mil. I really don't know. I just really don't know what we're gonna do with it. Okay, I think I'm getting far too in my feelings about this. It's a minor hiccup. We will get it figured out. I'll fix it. It will be fine. I already have a few ideas of what I'm gonna do to remedy that weird issue. Of course, it's gonna take some filler and some body work and some pushing and pulling and messing around. I once again created a lot of work for myself, but it will be fine. It will be fine. It's a wavy potato at the moment, but it's not the end of the world. We will get it. We will get it sorted. So basically, I just need to leave this alone. I still have all the grinding and shaping to do on all of the welds around here. I need to knock down all the plug welds on the top and on the bottom, and then I need to seal the welded surfaces from the inside. Grind the rest of it up, then put some epoxy primer in really hard to reach areas. They need to be cleaned. Any areas that have been burnt off of the welding just need a light clean up and some epoxy primer put on the inside. All of that in there. All of that inside of there. So yeah, before I start fixing my weird warpage issues, there is still loads of stuff to do. So I'm just gonna crack on with everything else, leave the warpage for the last thing to deal with, because I'm already coming up with ideas of how to remedy it, and I think we will be fine. We will be fine. Everything can be fixed. Any mistake, everything can be fixed. Like, worst case scenario, we'll just freaking cut it out, start again, but it's not that bad. It really is not that bad. It's fine. The main thing, we have fresh new metal everywhere. We can manipulate it, pull it, hit it. Even after all my manipulations, it ends up looking a bit like a mess. It's fine. We can fix it with bodywork as long as I can. I just don't want to have inches of filler. I just want 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters of filler. Maybe that's fine, but at the moment it's like 5 millimeters, so I need to pull it out. Yeah, overall everything is all good. We're moving forward. We have fresh metal everywhere. We just need to clean up the welds, paint everything inside out, make sure everything's covered, and then we'll deal with the warpage. It's okay. We can do this. We can do everything. So anything that can be done, we will do. And stop panicking, Anakin. Go the higher ground. Oi, 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 that took absolute ages. Everything has been initially ground down, all the welds, all along everywhere. I've put some just temporary paint on everything because it's all gonna have to come off again. Everything's gonna have to come off again and get painted properly, but for now, everything has been ground down to an acceptable point to where it can just be left alone for now on the outside. Obviously it's nowhere near perfect, it's gonna still get body worked and painted and filled. I haven't taken the plug welds all the way down. They are, as you can see, they're just a little bit proud. They're a little bit more proud on the bottom than they are on top. Yeah, there's a few imperfections here and there, but overall it's good. I'm still not looking at this mess, just avoiding it for now. I'm just doing everything else because even doing this just took absolute hours upon hours upon hours. It's actually a joke. So yeah, now I'm gonna go inside, try and do my best to clean up the welds from the inside and seal them. Clean it up in there, give it a little hoover and a gaps, a blowout, degrease, and start putting some paint on the inside. I'm not really going to try and film that too much because it's just aggy process. It's just awful. I'm just going to be in the crev trying to put paint in like little areas. It's just whatever. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna moan. Let's go. I know I said I wasn't gonna moan, and I'm not moaning. I'm moaning a little bit, but I hate doing this. I hate scrubbing backsides of weld. So annoying. Tight spaces. I have to wire brush it. I then have to hoover out that area that I've wire brushed because there's like just mess everywhere. Then I have to go back in, clean it, degrease it. Then I have to mix up the epoxy primer. I bent my little brush like this so I can get into more difficult areas. At the front section I was like shoving it in and just making a mess, but it's actually worked out really well. I somehow work out how to get paint into areas where I can't even get to, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm doing it. I'm in there, I'm doing it. Especially here, this is not too bad. Some of the welds I can get to with a wire brush. Nice, like me. But then obviously there's loads of stuff that I have to do by hand. With my little wire brushes like that in tight areas. But yes, it's happening. I'm doing it. I just don't like it. Cleaned up all the welds as best as I can and all the little nooks and crannies. Any paint that was like burnt off or anything, scraped everything off and cleaned everything up, and everything's been wire wheeled and cleaned, and a million different like proper struggly fest with my head in the side of the car with no space, with broken arms, and I think I'm happy with it. Pretty happy with it. There's obviously that one layer that's impossible to get to, but that's why I've done my absolute best. Had like things like this, like bits of tissue on a bit of wire with degreaser and just cleaning up in there. I had a wire wheel in there, and that's why I made those holes, remember, in that panel, to let paint flow into areas where I can't reach to. I'm just gonna flood it. Yeah, just whatever, blah blah blah. I'm just gonna mix up some epoxy and get some stuff in there. So yeah, one last look. That's just, oh yeah, upon closer inspection, this area was a little bit rusty and a little bit weird. The seam sealer that was around it was absolute disgusting, dried out, terrible. There was a few bits of rust. I scraped all the old poopies off, and yeah, so that's just going to get some epoxy on it as well, and just whatever. Let's do this. Let's just do it, and then we'll move on to the next thing, and we're that much closer. let's do some stuff. Doing. It's time for an update. I've tried to start talking about 400 times on 400 different days, but I've got so much to say, and then as soon as I start going on about it, I realise I don't know what the hell I'm even on about. But we have obviously some very good outcomes with this sill, and then some questionable outcomes with this sill. As you saw in the previous clips, I did my absolute best to treat all the bare metal inside of all the welded areas, and it's worked out better than I could have ever imagined. It's hard to see because it's kind of grey on grey, but along the whole thing, I've got epoxy primer inside on the join. And when I say I'm confident about how sealed this is, I mean I'm confident about how sealed this is. All the internal areas, and I mean all of them, even all the impossible to reach stuff, I have done it. I have got in there and epoxied pretty much everything. Massive shout out to one of my best friends, Michael. For one of my birthday presents or something like that, he bought me an endoscope. So this connects to my phone, and this is a camera that goes inside of cavities, and it's got a light on it, and I can see what's going on. After I treated everything inside to my best ability, I then used this to go in there and inspect everything. Obviously found some areas that weren't covered, and then I knew exactly where to come back and add some more paint. The most important thing for me was to make sure the areas where I welded were covered with epoxy in between the layers of metal, which I think I achieved that, definitely. Yeah, I hope it's clear as to what's going on inside. Everything is painted, all of the seams are sealed, all of the parts that have been welded are covered, and it's super good. So I showed you the little area at the front, I showed you the length of the inside, and then all of this in here underneath, inside of this section, which is this part inside of there, I've been in everywhere, literally everything has been painted with epoxy. It's amazing. Like, I'm so super happy with how that turned out. Now onto the thing that's been bothering me the most. So my issue at the moment is that lower rear quarter that I warped the absolute beans out of, and I'm trying to fix it. Inside of the car, I've built this frame to give myself a solid edge to pry against, so I'm able to go in and apply pressure. I don't know how well you can see, but when I apply pressure, I'm able to push that out. And I've been doing a bunch of different stuff, hammer and dolly, using that as a method to give myself something hard to hit against on the back, and it's kind of working. I've already made it a lot better. As you can see, all of these markings are me kind of trying to work out where I've got high spots, low spots, where I need to hit, what I need to leave alone, and I've just been kind of working it. So yeah, I've come to terms that I am gonna have to use filler to make it good. It just has to be the smallest amount of filler I can possibly use. For that, I need to bring this panel out in a bunch of places. It's obviously very wavy, but in some places it's 2 to 3 mil that still needs to come out for me to be happy with the amount of filler that I'm putting on. So as you can see on the bottom here, it's not too bad, but then the gap starts growing. And then here it's real meaty, especially right there, it's real big. And then yeah, in some places like this is a very low spot, needs to come out quite a lot, but I'm getting it. Like, this was all messed up. I've got that to a kind of acceptable level. And yeah, I don't really even know what else to say about it, because it's just, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is one of those times where I need to stop going on about it and thinking about it and just doing it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the door on, double check where that body line is, and then just start hitting this until I'm happy with it, and then filler it after. So yeah, the door needs to go on to establish this line. Ooh, what's this? That's very nice. Ooh, so fancy. Ooh. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page, I did the whole tappy tap tap for as long as I could, got it to a point where I wasn't making any more difference as far as pulling the metal out. It's alright, there is like a couple of areas that are like 3mm depth, very small, not too bad. Started applying fiberglass filler onto the area. I'm gonna make the biggest filler repairs in fiberglass filler and then skim it over the top with regular filler. What I found is I was fighting loads of high points. I thought I had loads of low points, but I also had loads of high points that needed to be knocked back, and this is just a long boy of a process. Apply filler, sand it down, apply filler, sand it down, apply filler, sand it down, just every time building up little areas where they're low, high, whatever the hell. I feel better about the amount of filler that I'm actually using. I thought it was going to be just horrendously thick, but it's okay. It's not bad. I'm not mad at it. And yeah, it's looking a bit crazy, but it's all part of the process. More sanding, more filling. You get the gist. Oh my dear God. I've got sanding on the brain, dust in the vein, schmorgenborgen. I am losing my mind because this is so much sanding. I'm starting to get the defined shape that I want. If I do a bit of this, you can see the line starting to form. This is obviously still very rough. This stuff is so difficult to sand. It takes 17 times longer than regular filler. It's crazy. But my thinking was fiberglass filler, a little bit stronger, got a little bit more structure, because I'm on the thick side of filler there. It should just give it just a bit more strength. Yeah, it's just a crazy amount of sanding. I'm making an absolute mess everywhere, but it's, you know, part of the process. Keep sanding and we'll get there. Alrighty. Okay, I think I am relatively happy with all the filler work, and what I'm gonna do is I've just mixed up a bit of epoxy primer, and I'm actually gonna use epoxy primer as my glaze coat to get rid of all the tiny little pores and little scratches and whatever else, and to just give me that extra tiny little bit of like 1/10 of a millimeter of material to work with after. So I'm just going to cover that literally with a brush, and then move on to the rest of the sill. Give that a good time to dry, and then do the final little bits of detail work. Yeah, also a little side note, don't ever throw any lids away. I keep like literally all my lids from everything, and then when I need to mix up like a little bit of epoxy, instead of messing around, I use one as a measure and then one as like a mixing pot. Like, it just makes sense, right? It makes sense. Keep your lids, boys, keep your lids. This will also let me see my body work a bit better. Like, once the paint flattens off, I'll be able to see like where else I need to address it. So I'm just throwing a bit of paint on, it's not final, and yeah, move on to the rest of it, sanding it all down, prepping it to get this like whole area prepped for paint. A few more bits of body work, sand everything down to bare metal, primer it all, and then just leave it and see how it survives. I'm just gonna put this on and then have some rest because I've had enough of sanding. So yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of coats. That's one coat, it's looking really good already. Yeah, lovely. Right then, boys and girls, we are having some crazy issues. Everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna end this video here. Yeah, we're gonna end this video here. There's enough material for me to put a video out. There's loads of stuff going on, loads of stuff's happened. Overall, everything's fine. We've got fresh new metal, everything's fantastic. Inside is all lovely and treated, and you've seen how well it's all nicely treated inside, so we're not worried about that. I've not been to the garage for like weeks, and we've had some ridiculous amount of rain and just wet weather, and it's so wet in here. Oh my god. Like, for example, got a helmet, welding helmet here. Can you see just, that's just water on everything, and the whole car was covered in wetness. And this repair that I've been working on, was just wet, literally dripping wet. As you can see, this bit of tape here, it's like everything is wet. Like that is just water on everything. There is loads of leaks in the roof's all leaking all over the place. There is literally water everywhere. Everything feels damp, and basically all of these repairs I'm gonna have to strip back down because there is no epoxy primer on any of this. This is just filler and then regular primer over the top, which is porous. So all the moisture that's been sitting on the car, it's all been absorbed. All of that ridiculous filler rubbish, that's all gonna have to be, everything's have to be stripped back and redone. But as far as the metal work is concerned, the sill is on, inside is treated, everything's fantastic. We're not worried. We will take care of this. Update in the next video.